everybody, it's me Margaret, and I'm in my kitchen today because we're going to do some yarn dyeing, something that is not my forte. As a matter of fact, I've never done it like this before. It was, where's my little piece of paper? Knit Crate's May box was this blank canvas, and they sent us 2 skeins of this blank yarn. It's 100% superwash merino wool, fingering weight. And I got 2 100-gram hanks of this. And then they partnered with Rebecca of Cʀ�=Çoᴜ. She has a YouTube channel. That's her little face down there. But I'm going to link the tutorial about how to dye with Koolaid in the description below, because that's the instructions that I'm following right now. Now, I will tell you, if you want to try this at home and you are not in the United States, you might have trouble finding packets of Koolaid. Oops, excuse the interruption, editing Margaret here. You may not have seen my unboxing of the May Knit Crate, but they did include the Koolaid in the May box. So international customers did receive it. And the problem is all other countries have outlawed a lot of the bad things, the chemicals that are in here. Certain dyes that we can consume here in the United States are actually very bad for us. I know you can't get it in Canada, and I'm pretty sure you can't get it in UK. I don't know what you use for food coloring over there, but it is definitely better than what we have here. So I don't encourage anyone to drink this stuff, but it makes great dye. And anyway, I'm going to give it a try. Okay, so I watched the video twice and I took notes, so I think I'm prepared. But one of the things that she tells us is you have to understand ingredients and their chemical reactions. So if you're going to use food coloring, you'll need an acidic base to make it take, to make the fibers absorb it. But not just any fibers, it has to be a protein-based fiber. And that means something that comes from an animal. Okay, so your cottons or hemp or anything like that, is linen, whatever, that's not protein based. You need something that's going to come from an animal, like this wool. So that's what I've got. And the first thing she tells us to do is, oh wait, let me back up. Koolaid has 2 of the things that we need, the coloring, the food coloring in here, the dyes, and the citric acid, which serves as the acidity that helps the protein fiber absorb the color. So that's awesome. And then the last thing we're going to need would be heat. Now, because this is food-based stuff, I can use any of the things that I cook in. Now, unfortunately for me, my brand new pots are aligned with this white chemical-free non-stick surface or whatever, and I don't know how food coloring would do on those. I'm going to assume it would be okay, but just to be on the safe side, I'm using my Instant Pot inserts, and that they'll do just fine sitting here on the stove. So the first step was to soak your yarn. Now, Knit Crate included one of Rebecca's little tips here, one of her favorite tips, and that is to put a zip tie around it so you have a little handle. And you soak it, just go ahead and leave it in there until you can shake it and no bubbles come out. And that means that it is fully saturated. So the next step I need to do is to put 8 cups of water in my pot that I'm going to add heat to. Okay, there's the last 2 cups, so I have 8 cups of water in here. Let's go put it on the stove. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Let it start heating up. And Rebecca suggests that you begin with your lighter color, or I actually think she said the less pigmented color. And in this case, it does happen to be this orange. So we're going to start with that. So I dump that in there. And I'm going to use this wooden spoon that I've used to dye things before. Actually, not dye things, but I was testing some cotton yarn once. Now she says let it come to a boil. Okay, so it's coming to a boil. But I noticed that when Rebecca was doing the dip dye, it was not boiling. So I'm going to assume that we have to turn it down a little bit. And now is the fun part, but it's also scary because I've never done this before. All right, so you dip a little bit, kind of mix it around. Ooh, look, a little bit more. I think she was swirling too, that was another thing. Maybe a little bit more. And the thing that really shocked me, I did not expect to happen, was that the dye is actually being absorbed into the fiber and the water becomes clear. And I really didn't understand that all of the dye would have been absorbed. Oh gosh, that's fun. It's kind of like it's in your control and out of your control all at the same time. You're doing it, but you really don't know what you're doing. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm doing it, but I really don't know what I'm doing. Can you see how the dye bath is getting lighter and lighter to where the color is just going right into the fibers? Okay, got a little bit more to go. I mean, her water looked really clear. Did I say that I squeezed out some of the water? Because that was an important step. Okay, so there I appear to have gotten all the color out of the water. So I'm moving it over here to this baking dish to cool. And now we're going to put the red, the cherry. And she said it's fine. There's plenty of acid still left in here. And then of course we're going to put even more acid, but that's fine. Stir it up. And we want to wait until I can handle the skein of yarn, because it's really hot still right here. But as soon as I can handle it, I can move my little zip tie to over there and start the dipping from this end. I'm looking at it kind of closely, and look on the inside. Apparently I didn't leave it in long enough to absorb, but that's going to be kind of cool, right? Because it's going to add to my gradient effect, or my variegated, whatever you want to call that in yarn terms. But okay, I'm excited to do the next color. All right, clearly I can touch it. So I'm going to move it down here to the darkest orange. And let's do it again. Okay, so I'm starting here. I want this to be the reddest red on this end. Wow, that really gets soaked up quickly, doesn't it? I think I didn't wiggle it around enough. Maybe that's why it was sort of pale in the middle. Doesn't look like a large variation of color there, does it? I imagine twisting it up isn't a good idea. Ouch. It's still got a lot of color in there. And I imagine I could stop at any point. It doesn't have to get all the color out. But that's the way Rebecca did it, so I feel like I want to be like Rebecca. One more time. Okay, that looks better. All right, I'm kind of going to drag it out here so some of the water will get squeezed back out. At least that's what I'm thinking. Ooh, that's going to be so pretty. Ooh, I like it. Okay, let's move on while we still have the water with acid in it. I don't have any more Kool-Aid, but I've got some basic food coloring. And so I'm going to take this blue, and I think she used a different brand of food coloring. She did 12 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'll give that a little swish. I think I had a tiny bit of red in there, so it's looking a little bit purple. Oh no, it looks purple in the pan, but it looks very blue when I pull it out with the spoon. Now here's the deal. The other one I soaked with water. I saturated it with water before I began. This one I did not, and she did the dip dyeing by taking it apart, you know, as before. But I'm just wondering what will happen if I leave it tucked in like this. What will happen? And I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'm just going to dip it in just like that. Oh, look, it's slowly absorbing. And I'm anticipating that the center of this will not receive as much dye. I'm tempted to push it in, but I'm curious to see what will happen if I just let it soak down. Can you see? I'm too curious. I have to see. Oh gosh, that's so cool. Okay, everybody get wet. Oh look, do you see how it's whiter in the middle? We'll leave it alone. I really want to know how dark it is underneath. Now I still have the heat on. I have it on medium right there, just to maintain constant heat under it. I can see the bubbles coming up where it's sort of soaking in and releasing the air between the fibers. And don't ask me why I'm doing this. It's just, I'm going with the artistic impulses and splashing it all over my new counter. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
Now while that sits in the dye bath, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this. Now Rebecca did both her colors together, and I'm a little chicken to do that. But it doesn't look like a lot of the dye is coming out, does it? So I guess I could have after all. I think it was Rebecca that said not to wring the yarn. You can stretch it or something. I don't remember. I may have read that somewhere. I don't know. Alexa, stop. Okay, so I noticed that as we let it sit like this, it began to boil again. So I had to turn it down a little further to try to stop that. And because this is completely different, I'm going to pick it up with my tongs here. Oh, that's going to be interesting. All right, we've got a lot of white left, and I think this is going to be cool. I don't know though. It may look like a chunky old messed up yarn, but right now I'm excited about it. Okay, now we'll put it over here to cool. Look what it's looking like. I do want to warn you that working with protein-based yarns, they are animal yarns with animal fibers, and so you do kind of get the sensation of wet dog as you're working with this yarn. Doesn't smell so great. There's a lot that didn't, where the dye just didn't make it to the fiber, but I'm thinking that's an effect, right? I don't know. We'll just have to see. All right, so let's go ahead and put some cold water in there. Now, because there's other chemicals and flavor additives and whatnot in the Kool-Aid, Rebecca of Cʀᴜ recommends that a gentle wash with some dish soap for good measure is a good idea. So that's what I'm doing here. One of Rebecca's suggestions was to put the yarn in a salad spinner. And I have this ancient one here, but it will do the job. And the centrifugal force will get rid of some of that extra water and give your arms a workout all at the same time. Let's see. Oh, it did get some of the water out. You see it? Can you hear it? Okay. So we'll put that there. Dump out the water. And reload with this color. I didn't squeeze that one out as much. Maybe I should have. Ooh, that got a lot of water out. I might spin that again. Ooh, yeah, that got out even more. All right, so then I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way when you hand wash delicates or whatever. You wrap it up like this. And then you put it on the ground and step on it. And it wrings it out a little bit more. Okay, I stepped on it, but I'm going to spare you that moment. But now we have it wrung out about the best we can, so I'm going to hang it up to dry. Alexa, what's the humidity?
Currently, the humidity is 74%.
74% outside, so I'm probably not going to hang it outside. We'll hang it indoors to dry. I'm going to have to say that this is probably one of the most fun knit crates that I've received yet. And I would highly recommend looking into buying some natural fiber yarn and watching Rebecca of Cʀᴜ to learn different ways that yarn can be dyed. You can use your microwave. There's all kinds of different options. But I had a really good time with this. But I'm really excited to try to knit this up and see what I get, because that was really fun. And it's kind of like just experimenting. I mean, there are no rules in this other than the chemical rules of protein fibers requiring certain things that the vegetable fibers do not. So I don't know, just watch Rebecca. You'll learn. She teaches you. So I really like this. So thanks Knit Crate, and thanks Rebecca of Cʀ�. This was great fun. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you've tried dyeing yarn and whether you like it or not. Talk to you soon. Bye.